is a weight on your shoulders that no massage can dissolve. Because it does not come from the muscles, it comes from the sadness that migrated to the scapulas when it found no way out through the chest. Your back is filing away dense emotions in the form of dorsal rigidity, changing the way you breathe, hold yourself, and move through the day. What will be revealed now is a 90-second movement that unsticks the scapulas and creates a passage for this load to literally flow down your back. The scapula functions as a surface for vibrational discharge, and there is a precise reason why this region never fully relaxes. Closing this video now means continuing to try to force relief into muscles that are still performing a protective function installed by the nervous system, keeping the cycle of tension that returns hours after any attempt. Get ready to discover exactly where sadness thickens in you and how to teach your back to release what it has been holding for far too long. When sadness is not consciously processed, it does not disappear. It migrates to the scapulas, organizing itself as a dorsal defense that the nervous system keeps active even when the original threat has already passed. This emotional condensation in the back is not bad posture or ordinary muscular tension, but a precise autonomic mechanism that turns dense emotions into fascial rigidity and postural retraction. The body is literally storing in the scapulas what consciousness could not digest. In Hermetic traditions, the scapula was recognized as the sleeping wing of the thoracic temple, a structure that should allow the heart field to expand backward, creating a second chamber of emotional resonance. When these wings remain glued to the ribs, the heart is compressed from the front and blocked from behind, losing access to the depth where real transformations happen. What polyvagal theory reveals is that this pattern combines dorsal vagal collapse with apparent normal functioning on the outside you go on. On the inside, the back stores an increasing stock of unlived emotion. The shoulder girdle becomes the point where muscles, fascia, and breath intertwine to protect the heart from behind, creating an invisible armor that alters muscle tone, breathing range, and the way you inhabit your own body. Neuroscience has discovered that fascia functions as memory tissue, filing traumatic experiences in musculoskeletal structures. The region of the scapulas becomes a vibrational repository because myofascial chains that connect neck, chest, and arms converge there. When a dense emotion needs to be stored, the body chooses this anatomical crossroads to install it. What you feel as a constant weight on your shoulders is literally emotional memory condensed into tissue. This pattern often replicates family histories of silent sadness and early responsibility. Inherited not only genetically, but somatically, you may be carrying in your scapulas the pain your parents or grandparents never cried, inscribed in your body as invisible biological loyalty. Behavioral epigenetics shows that postural patterns and autonomic states are transmitted across generations, making you literally take on your shoulders what came before you. Someone discovered this in the most visceral way possible, and what happened to this person will show exactly how this mechanism operates in real life. Richard was 53 and spent his days among concrete shelves, rebar, and bags of mortar in the building supply store where he had worked for almost 2 decades. The routine was familiar, but something had changed in recent years. His shoulders seemed to bear a weight that was not in the products he carried, but inside himself. Every customer served, every order written down, Every end of shift brought the same feeling of deep fatigue that did not improve with rest. The weight had settled in so gradually that Richard could not remember when it began. He only knew that it was now part of how he inhabited his own body. His shoulders remained slightly raised even when he tried to consciously relax them. His scapulars seemed glued to his ribs, and his breath never fully descended to the base of his lungs. Even worse was the diffuse sense of carrying something old, a sadness that had no name or clear origin, but that weighed physically on his back as if it had taken solid form there. He tried monthly massages for almost a year, felt relief for a few hours. But the next day, the tension returned to exactly the same place. Morning stretches recommended by online videos did not change the pattern. They only stretched muscles that went back to contracting as soon as he resumed his usual posture. A physical therapist worked on the area for months, but the rigidity persisted because something deeper was keeping that defense active. It was during an unexpected conversation with an old physical education teacher who stopped by the store buying material to renovate his house that Richard heard for the first time about the scapulas as a surface for emotional discharge. The man noticed Richard's posture, asked if he carried anything heavy on his back besides work, and when Richard admitted the constant feeling of weight, the teacher mentioned a somatic technique he had learned years earlier, a simple movement of unsticking the scapulas that allowed the body to release dense emotions through the back. That same night, alone in his room before bed, Richard brought his hands to the inner borders of his scapulas and began to apply gentle pressure outward, just as the teacher had described. In the first few seconds, he felt only the usual rigidity, but when he breathed deeply, trying to expand the posterior region of his ribs, something gave way. A slight, almost electric burning began to rise up his back, accompanied by a sudden urge to sigh that he could not control. What Richard was about to discover in that moment is exactly what you are going to experience now in your own body. The movement that will unlock this region begins with you locating by touch the inner borders of your scapulas, those bony surfaces that lie close to the spine between the mid and upper back. Bring your hands behind your body and try to touch these inner edges with your fingertips. You will feel a firm border where the bone of the scapula approaches the vertebral line. If you cannot reach it directly, use a wall or the back of a chair to create pressure in this region. What matters is to locate the point where the scapula anchors into the ribs. Now apply gentle but sustained pressure to this inner border, directing the force outward, as if you wanted to push the scapula laterally, moving it away from the spine. Do not force, do not try to yank anything out of place. The gesture is one of invitation, not imposition. While you maintain this pressure, breathe deeply, trying to expand the posterior region of your ribs, as if you wanted to push your back against your own hand or against the surface that is touching your back. The breath does not go into the chest, it goes backward, filling the space between the scapulas and the spine. You may begin to feel a slight burning in this region, or a sudden urge to sigh that comes from within without you having decided to sigh. Heat may arise, descending down your back, or small, involuntary tremors in your shoulders. All these signs indicate that dense emotions are literally changing state, leaving their solid, compressed form for something more fluid that can flow out. If the urge to cry appears, let it. If only the sigh comes, Allow it to leave without control. Continue for 30 seconds, maintaining the pressure and the breath directed toward the back. Then release. Let your arms rest and observe what has changed. You will probably notice that your shoulders have dropped slightly, that your breath now touches areas of the back that previously seemed inaccessible, and that there is a greater inner space, as if something that was compressed had given way. Repeat the cycle 2 more times, pressing the inner border of the scapulas, breathing backward, holding for 30 seconds, releasing. Some people feel the release more intensely in the upper part of the scapulas, near the tops of the shoulders. Others perceive the movement happening lower down, near the middle of the back. Both experiences are valid, because sadness condenses in different ways in each body. What matters is that you are creating a passage, teaching the nervous system that there is a safe route to discharge what was stuck. If the rigidity is very intense and the scapula seems not to move, reduce the pressure and increase the time instead of 30 seconds. Hold it for a full minute, always with the active breath filling the back. Fascia needs time to recognize that it can soften. It is not force that releases, it is sustained presence. You are dialoguing with deep layers of the body that have not received conscious attention for years. Before we move on to the second layer of this practice, there is something you need to know about what happened to Richard after that first night. When Richard did the movement for the first time and felt that sudden burning rising up his back, he did not immediately understand what was happening, but he continued. He repeated the gesture 3 times that night, and the next morning, upon waking, he realized that he had managed to sleep on his back for the first time in months. His shoulders were not raised as usual, and the feeling of weight that had accompanied him from the moment he opened his eyes had decreased considerably. In the following weeks, he kept up the practice for 90 seconds every night before going to bed. The transformation was concrete and trackable. The irritability that made any interaction at work an effort began to give way. His breathing became broader during the day, without his needing to force it. And for the first time in years, he felt genuine energy to make decisions he had been postponing. The diffuse sadness that weighed on his back did not disappear completely, but it stopped being immobile and compressed. It began to flow, literally, through deep sighs and heat that flowed down his back whenever he practiced the movement. What Richard discovered, and what you are beginning to notice now in your own body, is that the scapula is not just a bony structure, but a portal of emotional discharge. The weight you have been carrying for so long can finally have a way out. Now you are going to integrate a second layer into this movement. With your hands again on the inner borders of the scapulas, or with your back resting against the wall, apply the same lateral pressure, but this time add a subtle rotation. Imagine that the scapulas are wings that are beginning to detach from the ribs, sliding slightly outward and downward at the same time. The movement is minimal, almost imperceptible, but the nervous system registers this change of angle as a sign that something new is being allowed. While you maintain this subtle rotation, breathe deeply into the posterior region of the chest, trying to expand not only the ribs, but the space between the scapulas and the heart. The breath can now touch areas that were previously blocked by fascial rigidity. You may feel an internal expansion, as if the posterior field of the heart were finally gaining space to pulse without compression. This combination of pressure, rotation, and directed breathing speaks directly to the deep connective tissue. The fascia begins to soften from the inside out because the nervous system recognizes that there is a safe route of discharge, that releasing the dorsal defense does not mean unprotected vulnerability, but intelligent reorganization. The body understands that it can release what it was storing without collapsing. Keep this integrated practice for a full 90 seconds. Then release. Let your arms fall naturally and feel what happened. Your shoulders have probably dropped even more. Your breath now touches the base of the posterior ribs, and there is a lightness in your back that did not exist when you started this video. The central cycle of the practice is complete. What comes now is to seal this reorganization so that it becomes a permanent part of the way you inhabit your own body. The physical marker that proves this reorganization is happening right now in your body. Your breath descends to the lumbar region without conscious effort. Your shoulders rest naturally in a lower position than when you began this video. And there is a sense of internal space in your back that was not there before. That space is not emptiness, it is availability. The back has ceased to be a compressed repository and has once again become a living passage for energy that can circulate. To anchor this new state, bring the tips of your fingers to the inner borders of the scapulas once more, or rest. Your back against a wall or chair back, if you cannot reach them directly, but now only touching lightly, without pressure. Breathe deeply into this region for 30 seconds, feeling the air brush the inside of the posterior ribs, and repeat internally as you do so. My back is a passage, not a repository. This signal gesture can be done discreetly at any moment of the day, sitting at work, before sleeping, during a pause in traffic, whenever you want to reconnect with this lightness you have just installed. When you feel your shoulders starting to rise again and sadness begins to weigh on you in the coming weeks, do 3 cycles of the complete movement you learned here. Press the inner borders of the scapulas laterally. Breathe deeply into your back for 30 seconds in each cycle and repeat internally. Sadness can flow down my back. This return protocol turns the technique into a portable tool that you carry with you, not only as a memory of the video, but as a somatic resource that can be activated whenever the old pattern tries to reinstall itself. The seal is complete. What you have lived through here in the last few minutes was not just temporary relief of muscular tension, but a reorganization of how the body deals with dense emotions that previously had no way out. You now carry in your body an understanding that goes beyond physical relief. Your shoulders have ceased to be only a place of pain and have become portals of discharge. Your scapulas are no longer rigid plates, but living structures that can once again move like wings. When the back regains the ability to release dense emotions, practical life changes in tangible ways. Difficult conversations stop draining energy for days. Postponed decisions begin to find their moment. Chronic irritability gives way to real presence. The sadness that used to remain compressed in your back now has a passage, and you begin to inhabit the day with less weight and more inner availability for what truly matters. What you have experienced here is only the first door to a much faster territory. The body stores layers of emotional memory in dozens of strategic points, and each of them can be accessed with somatic precision. There are other sleeping scapulas in your nervous system, other knots waiting for release, Other defenses that can be undone without violence when you know where to touch and how to dialogue with the tissue. The philosopher Gaston Bachelot wrote that the body is a house of echoes where the past never finishes resounding. Your back holds not only what hurt, but also the wisdom of how to release it, and that wisdom is inscribed in the very anatomy, just waiting for you to learn the language of the body in order to access it. This reorganization of the back is also a reorganization of how you open yourself to receive what is greater than you. When the scapulas move freely, the posterior field of the heart can finally expand, and what previously seemed like a spiritual block reveals itself as a somatic block that had a practical solution. Source does not need external altars when the body once again becomes a habitable temple. If this content resonated with you, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Your interaction is vital so that the algorithm can carry this knowledge to other people who carry weight on their shoulders without knowing there is a way out. Share this video with those you recognize as living with condensed sadness in their backs. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Your contribution finances the production of somatic practices with this depth and allows us to reach more seekers who need this kind of embodied knowledge. Write in the comments, "I released my scapulas and felt dense emotions flowing down my back." With this statement, you anchor in the external world the transformation that has just taken place in your tissue, creating a testimony that neurologically reinforces the practice and inspires others who still carry the weight. Click on the video that is appearing on the screen now to continue this journey of somatic unlocking and discover other areas where your power may be dammed up. Each technique reveals a different portal in your nervous system. The back you have learned to release today is not just anatomical structure, but a living archive where decades of sadness found shelter because there was nowhere else to go. And now that there is a passage, what was stagnant can finally flow, giving back to the body the lightness that has always been yours by right.